Episode 2. We're back, boys. We
We're
are
back.
back.
There's more to hunting.
What defines hunt for more if you were to put a definition on it? What is hunt for more?
The hunt for more.
The Hunt for More podcast.
If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. So, as be it with the podcast, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right.
Had a busy week, too.
Mm.
Ryan, big hunting expo this week.
Yes,
What are your
sir.
thoughts?
You know, looking at the things, talking to the people, shaking the babies, kissing the hands.
Shaking babies and kissing hands.
You
I
know,
love it.
good time.
Oh,
It's
man.
Good times with the friends.
Man.
I think, Cole, you gave me an update on what your week was like.
Yeah. Sheep hunting. Missed a big ram. Sick kids. So it's been fun.
All right, you guys ready to start?
Yeah, I'm ready to rip, dude.
Ready to rip for episode 2? Is that good? That works?
I actually
Yeah,
like that.
I like that.
That's pretty fitting.
All right, so episode 2 of the Hunt for More podcast with Cole Slaw Johnson, or Hollywood Cole, and Trent Teddy Measle.
Meisel, damn it.
It doesn't matter. It works.
It worked
You know
out
who you are.
perfect.
I thought you were going to forget that Teddy was my call sign for a second, and I was going to be
No,
real
I did not
upset.
forget.
I
And I
was gonna
didn't
be-
forget. I didn't mispronounce your last name on accident either.
That's so
The
tough.
fact that I got called coleslaw, like what?
Coleslaw is pretty sick, dude.
For Hollywood?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Wow. Always thought I was referred to as the talent.
No, that's what they say.
Just
But
kidding.
it's been rough for you.
It's been a rough year.
It's been a rough road for you. Cole just got back. Well, Hollywood Cole, you know. I'm a big J. Cole fan, right? So
It's fitting.
some of us know the song.
No role models.
Trent's a little bit of a
Yeah.
boomer.
I am a little bit of a boomer.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
That's fine.
So episode 2, Cole just got back from a barberry sheep hunt, or aoudad as the Texans call them.
Oh, daddy.
Didn't go so hot. So
No, sir.
just another reassurance of he might not be the talent.
No, I won't be the talent. I can put you on the sheep, but I can't kill it for you.
But he couldn't find another sheep. The
No.
guy missed one sheep, and we couldn't find another sheep. So
Yeah, rough deal.
I'm just playing.
Kids
Cole.
got
It's a
sick.
tough
We
one.
all came home early. We called it kind of a bad deal. Bad deal in the sheep woods. But
Dude,
yeah,
that sucks.
we'll go forward.
Trent's been doing Trent things out, being Captain America, literally.
It's been busy, dude.
Yeah.
This year is not going to slow down at all either. It's
Mm.
it's only ramping up. And the other day, me and Ryan were talking, and I was like, kind of telling him, like, dude, I'm stressed out. I've got a lot of things a lot of plates that are spinning in my life right now. And he was like, well, if we don't get down to Texas and move those feeders and hang tree stands, like, you're not going to have big deer come November. That starts in March, buddy. I was like, damn it, you're right. Like, add it to the list, dude.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's like deer season is year-round work. I was like, I know, but I thought I had till like June. He was like, year-round, dude. It's like, okay.
yeah, man, we got to, Trent and I have stuff here in Texas. We both hunt. I've got stuff. He's got stuff. We've been working together on some of the stuffs. And I like getting stuff out there while they're growing, right? You
Yeah.
want to feed them while they're growing. So,
Dude, it's funny too, is like, we didn't realize, but the farms are like, the two closest ones, I think, is like 7 miles apart as a crow flies, which is wild.
I don't even think it's 7 miles, but yeah. So
Weird.
no high fence here where we're hunting. So don't get those. As soon as we say Texas, right? We're like, oh, high fence. No. Work hard for our deer.
Working very
But we
hard.
do run feeders. So it's about that time a year. I'll be putting out some proteins and some cottonseed and making sure they're heavily fed during growing season.
Yeah.
And then of course we need to kill pigs.
Yeah,
Got a lot of pigs we need to mow down and put on the smoker.
that's the priority is, yes, feed the deer, but make it bow huntable for pigs throughout the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to wear out a bunch of pigs, put all the kids up and let them shoot pigs.
Have
So
you
that's the goal.
finished boiling that skull yet?
No, it's still in the freezer.
Huh, very good.
Yeah, all the ample time I have to boil skulls.
Yeah. Well, I thought you just said you were going to drop it off and just be done with it.
Pay for it. Yeah, I need to. Speaking of dropping skulls off, Johnny still got my Oryx. He hasn't touched it. Need to get back on that.
You Texas boys getting all ready for
Yeah.
hunts. We all have to still get like apply and get into everything. So it's like the the warm-up season for us.
Anyway, Cole's been sheep hunting. Trent's been flying, doing work stuff. I've been at the Western Hunt Expo for the last, I don't know, 5 days. Went out there on Wednesday or whatnot. Really good time. Talked to all the peeps. Spent time with all our guys. All the brands we work with and work with us and rep, and sold some rifles for Arrowhead Rifles. Shameless plug for Arrowhead Rifles. That is our go-to muzzleloader and rifle options here at the Black Horn Guide Service. And personally, it's what I've been running. Been running the muzzleloader since 2021 and have a few rifles. So I was in the booth with Arrowhead Rifles slinging the rifles and the old muzzleloaders. We did good. Marsupial did good. We were sharing booths. So it was a good time, but I'm glad to be back.
Dude, two
And-
things with that. First
Huh?
one is two things from that statement. One comment, one question is first comment is I had no idea what you could really get if you were going to get a nice muzzleloader after using that one. It was mind blowing what that thing can do. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Like it went from the muzzleloader that I expected to use was like, okay, we're basically bow hunting. And then on like day 2 inherited that one to use for the rest of the week. And it was like, oh, this is a different game.
Yeah, it's just like a single shot rifle essentially. Like if you have a really nice
Yeah.
muzzleloader, which is the case when you have an Arrowhead, so it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, dude, which was sick. The follow-up question I was gonna ask you is what was the highlight from the expo? You had like one thing from the whole weekend that was like, that was sick. What was it?
Probably Saturday night, sitting at the Airbnb. We all stayed together. It was, me, Arrowhead Rifles, so Jake, Luke, Matt, and then the whole Marsupial crew, and we just spent Saturday night chilling at the Airbnb in the big living room. We had a Airbnb up on the hill, so you can see all of Salt Lake right out the big front window, big giant like 10-foot window. So we all just sat in there and talked shop and business and strategies and community and hunting and people, and
Yeah.
it was just a good time with
That's
all of
awesome.
us. Just a real close internal hanging out. And these are two companies that we work with on a professional level between, photography and the outfit and repping them and, being, ambassadors, if you will, of their brands. But first and foremost, they're friends. So
Yeah.
both those companies are friends, and we work really hard to keep it that way. And so it's just really special just to all sit together. We don't ever get to hang out, and it's good, man. It's good.
Yeah.
So that's the big takeaway. Of course, the show's pretty awesome. See a lot of people get to explain. It's really cool standing there trying to sell a rifle, sell a muzzleloader, and being able to tell somebody like, yeah, man, I've shot elk 500 yards with this, deer 400 yards, pronghorn 300 yards. Like go through all the reloading and the processes of it and the intricacies of muzzleloader seasons and regulations and open sight and scopes. And it's one thing to sell somebody a product, but it's another thing to believe in the product and just tell them your experiences and them walk away and feel like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not just, because you don't get that experience when you go to Shields or Sportsman's Warehouse or Bass Pro or anything like that. Like you don't, you just walk up, you're buying your box rifle and
Yeah, you're not actually
hoping that it
talking to
works.
like who actually builds the rifle and knows like the ins and outs,
Yeah,
or someone
yeah.
who lets clients shoot it, or just kind of the whole 9 yards. It's kind of sweet.
Right. So between me, Jake, and Matt and Luke standing there, right, like all 4 of us have killed great stuff with those rifles and muzzleloaders, and it's it's really cool talking to customers and be like, yeah, it works. They're like, oh, that's just your sales pitch. And I'm like, bust out my phone, and we're like, no, see this deer here, watch the video I shot here. Like, it's you're not getting that. So that's why I support Luke. Luke's a great guy, great friend. We tried to stay carnivore. Both of us tried to stay eating carnivore, and we did the best we could. But I'll say the worst thing we ate was a salad and some calamari. So we didn't do too bad.
Not bad.
I think
Yeah.
it says a lot too if you're gonna take a gun and put it into a client's hand, like someone that you don't know. You're like,
Yeah.
but you trust the rifle that much. You're like, I'll just give it to a stranger and like
Yeah.
point it at the animal and shoot it. And
Yep.
After
That's pretty
hunting
sweet.
with a bunch of clients, it's like the best thing you can do because not to say most people don't like dive hard and like know their own gun, but most people aren't like as hard about it as we are. So like you hand them a gun and it's just like pull the trigger. It's all
Yeah.
good to go. And it's kind of like a reassurance and
Yeah.
just kind of a peace of mind.
That was expo time. Great time. Cole's been out sheep hunting. Trent's been flying and working. Cole and I head for Ibex on Friday for a week down on the old Florida mountains in southern New Mexico. So gonna roll on into episode 2 since we've been rambling for 20 minutes or so. But the whole purpose of episode 2 is to introduce you guys to Cole Johnson, right? One of my best friends and business partner in Blackhorn Guide Service, a budding father and attempting photographer, and just all around. If you watch the show Landman, and Cole's the old field out there getting blown up and people dying every day, kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
TV.
it's the perfect depiction. Yeah, just out there working in the, I don't know. They make it seem a lot more dangerous than it is. It can be dangerous, but it's not that bad.
I mean, if you can do it, we could all do it.
Yeah, no, that's the way to look at it. If I can do it, anybody can. Just believe in yourself.
So yeah, let's get rolling. Try to keep these to an hour. I've got a lot of feedback on the first. Appreciate you guys who listened to it and enjoyed it. A lot of people said they didn't even know it was out. They just thought it was snippets. So we apparently got to do a better job of letting people know that the full episode is out there.
Yeah.
So these episodes will all be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. For all 4 of you that are listening, we appreciate it. So Cole Johnson.
Yeah.
What makes Cole Cole?
Yeah. So I'm Cole.
The legend,
I'm
the talent.
Yeah, Cole owned like half a Blackhorn Guide Service. I kind of grew up in like South Central New Mexico. Kind of like got into hunting when I was, I don't know, 6, 7 years old. Just kind of as a kid, really just kind of following around my dad, and then just kind of always, I think, wanted to be a guide eventually. And eventually, I guess me and Ryan kind of made it happen in 2021. But yeah, just kind of like, I guess, dive into what started it all and kind of what, I guess, made all of this.
Where was your first hunt at?
Man, my first hunt, I guess, like, so the first hunt I ever went on actually was with my dad and one of his buddies. I want to say I was like 6 years old. We actually got a bunch of snow, and I just remember being super upset. I couldn't go because there was probably like 2 foot of snow. I was, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. Like, they didn't want me hiking around with them. That's the first like core memory I have of going on like a deer hunt, was just not being able to go and just being super like upset, stuck in the camper. But my first ever hunt for myself, I believe, was like southeast New Mexico. It's actually the unit I live in now. But yeah, I was 9 years old or 8 years old, and I went on a deer hunt and was able to shoot my first deer. But that was super fun. I just remember like my dad being like tickled pink that I finally had shot one. It kind of like ignited the spark of just like loving hunting, and just kind of like what made me always just super excited about it and always just think about it like 24/7. But yeah, it's kind of ironic that I ended up moving to the same exact unit, that like what started it all. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's a good story. Good to get to know you.
Yeah. Well, ask some questions, Primo.
Thanks for tuning in.
Jesus.
I'm just joking. Yeah, no, I mean it's this one's tough because I know everything about you there is to know that. I don't know. Maybe you got some skeletons in the closet I don't know about, but put it all out there. So I'll lean heavy on Trent on this one to kind of unravel who you are, because we've spent a significant amount of time together for X amount of years, and it's tough to put myself in the shoes of someone who doesn't know Cole.
Yeah.
Not to say Trent doesn't know Cole, but
I mean, I know him well, but I don't know
Yeah.
all the background to like what makes Cole him,
I don't know. I would probably say like what I didn't really like dive into like really, I guess like knowing hunting was my passion probably till I hit high school. It was kind of like whenever me and Ryan were able to like meet realistically and then kind of like get into the over the counter sheep hunting. I just remember like always taking a set of binoculars or a spine scope to school with me, and like the moment school was out, like I was always just watching sheep. It's not that like
Yeah.
sheep were the coolest thing ever, but it just kind of like got me outdoors. It was fun. It was like a way to like decompress from school every day and just kind of like find sheep, get to know them, like study their behavior, and it kind of I think ultimately made me a better sheep hunter. And like let me take some really good ones like at a young age, right out of high school. But yeah, I think like that's what really built like burnt the passion into me. It kind of it translated into hunting elk, hunting deer, and just kind of I guess like lit the flame and made me like learn tactics that either worked or didn't work, and just kind of like shaped me into the hunter of who I am now. And ultimately, probably what made me get way more serious about hunting to like actually become an outfitter. So it's pretty cool.
Just taking that glass to school every day and just waiting for that last
Yeah,
bell to
just
ring, and
praying
then
to
being
God
like,
nobody stole it out of my
"All right,
back seat.
I know there's a big ram over in this little valley or in this finger. I'm gonna go see if he's still there today." Like, walk me through that, right?
Yeah.
Like, what did you learn whenever you're doing that?
Oh, the funniest story is probably the biggest sheep I ever shot. Well, I guess like through high school, I've shot bigger since, but my first ever big sheep, I missed.
What's big?
Well, so it was 32 and a half. It was a pretty big oddad, especially for like over the counter. Um, but I missed the first day of my senior year of high school for it. I remember spending like all summer looking for sheep, never find anything worth a crap. And the day before school, I was out with my little sister at the time, and we were just out glassing. I think I maybe had her boyfriend with me or something. We were really good friends growing up, and I found this sheep, and I was like, "Holy heck!" Like I know tomorrow's the first day of school. But this thing's big. Like I need to shoot it. So I remember coming home, telling my parents, like, "Hey, the sheep's really big. I want to go shoot it tomorrow." My mom, was instantly like, "You're not missing school, like to go shoot a sheep." And I show my dad the video of it, and he's like, "Ah, it's a pretty big ram. I think you can miss like the first day of school and go." So I ended up like packing everything up, get ready for that hunt. But it was actually probably one of the worst hunts I've ever been on because I initially found him at the bottom of a canyon, like thought it was a slam dunk. I was just going to show up, like shoot this sheep, get it out, be off the mountain by like 10 o'clock. Well, I find the sheep first thing in the morning, right where I left them. I go hiking in after them all by myself. My dad's glassing from the bottom. I have like 2 bottles of water and that's it. So I get all the way back in there, don't kill the ram right away, kind of like start scaling up the cliffs, goes in deeper. And I finally shot him at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and my phone dies. And I wasn't able to like really get a hold of anybody. They just knew I shot the sheep, and that was it. Well, then I finally get up to him, uh, start breaking him down. I'm like super dehydrated, and I actually like pass out. I like I don't know if my blood sugar's tanked. What I remember like it's maybe like noon. I passed out. Next thing I know, I wake up at like 5:30 p.m. talking to myself, like completely disoriented and hearing gunshots. And my dad's hiking up the canyon to come get me. And I'm throwing up, like super sick. But I had that sheep, so I like packed it all up in my pack and start trying to get down the mountain. I'm just rolling my pack down the mountain. Um, Finally, my dad runs into me and like we hike out of there. But yeah, it was a bad deal. So glassing for sheep every day, either after school or all summer was not a good call. It made me pay for it.
That is not how I expected that story to
Yeah.
go at all.
I always kind of I mean, not to say I forget about it, but it's one of the biggest reasons I always like over prepare, always take food, always take extra water on hunts, much less guiding because most clients aren't going to be as used to like the elements as we are. Like, especially in New Mexico, it's super hot. I mean, like, especially sheep hunting, you're always like physically just exhausting yourself. So, like, most people under prepare. So, I always,
That was what, August, wasn't it?
yeah, it was middle of August. It was like 110 degrees out.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, I
horrible.
remember he's texted me. He's like, "I found a giant ram," and then I'm going for it, and I never heard from him again until
Yeah.
way later. I
Well,
was like,
and
"Oh, wow."
He was asleep on the side of a mountain.
so like go back to it. Part of like when I remember when I woke up and came to and was talking to myself, I was like having a conversation with Ryan. Like I thought Ryan was there to help me pack it out, and then like I fully come to and I'm like, oh, I'm by myself. Like I'm losing it right now. And it was kind of a scary place to be. Like, I mean, I was 17 years old at the time and just kind of like super disoriented. And the only other time I'd felt that way is like maybe football practice or something when I was younger and like
Yeah.
super dehydrated. But yeah, no, it was not a good deal.
So let's rewind though, because that's a very snippet of your life.
Yeah.
And I know we briefly talked about your first hunt, but as a kid, like what were you? I don't know, what were you into? What was your thing when you were a kid? Like what shaped you? I know your dad hunted and your grandpa, and it was just a thing you guys did as your kids. But let's was more than that, right? Just because
Yeah, because I grew
you
up playing travel baseball.
yeah,
That was probably the biggest thing. I played baseball and basketball through pretty much most of high school. But I played travel baseball. I'm gonna say maybe starting when I was 12, up until I was in high school, and then we did like summer ball and kind of traveled for all that. So I mean, just a lot of sports and then hunting, like just pretty much in between. But growing up, we didn't really hunt all that much. We just hunted deer like in November. You know, we draw like a rifle deer
right.
tag and that was it. But it was kind of just like what I always looked forward to. Like lo and behold, I think I'm actually like the first person in my family to kill a bull elk. Much less bow hunt. Like everybody, like in my family, I want to say all we did was just deer hunt. And it wasn't until I got like maybe in middle school or closer to high school that we even applied for bull tags or like oryx or anything that was kind of special. Um, so yeah, it's like I think we mainly focused more on sports, and then kind of slowly transitioned probably like in the high school where I really peaked more of my interest like in the hunting versus just playing sports
Right.
all the time.
Yeah, and I bring that up because I know that it was kind of the old school, like, deer camp, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And that was big to your dad and your grandpa and your uncle and
Yep.
you, and, a lot of the hunts were not about how big of a
No.
deer you can kill because y'all boys were just,
No, we were putting
mowing them down when you saw the antler.
yeah, if it was legal, we were putting it down. Like, so like my grandpa used to like work at a butcher shop, so like everything was always about meat. Like if that buck was legal, it
Yeah,
was like we got to shoot this deer. Like that's what we need. So, like growing up, that's kind of like what was instilled in me. And then like slowly, kind of just like got away from it. Always wanted to kill a big deer, never really did because I always hunted with them. So it was like very much first deer you saw, you shot it. And like
and it was the old school, like, run and jumping deer, right?
yeah,
Like, just
no, we
hiking
didn't
until you
own.
jump deer out of the
Yeah, we
canyons,
didn't.
like, flushing the deer out of the mesquite and
Yeah, we didn't own,
giving her
binoculars or
yeah.
tripods like Ryan says. Yeah, we just hiked around with like a
I don't think
243.
anyone did back then. I mean, yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
And then I bring that up because I think that's cool because I think that's how a lot of Western hunting was.
Mhm.
I would like to say the photographers are to credit with the tripod, really.
Yeah,
Um,
probably. I mean, because other than
yeah,
like a camera, like what else are you gonna put on a tripod that you wouldn't
right,
just
right.
freehand or, when you're trying
I
to
mean, you got to think back in the day when we were kids. Like I mean, ain't nobody used a tripod. It was
we didn't even use
handheld
cameras.
and glassing.
Like
No,
we
no.
didn't even really like we had maybe a flip phone, like no one took trophy pictures, no one in my family did any of that. It was you walked around with your 243, jumped up a buck, you shot it, and like it was on you to get it back to the truck, and then you got it back out. And it was I don't know, it's just kind of how I grew up. So it's kind of funny to like see how it all transitions and like goes to what it is today. Especially like I guess even further into the spectrum of it, just that like now I'm guiding and it's like, oh no, we're really not gonna shoot that animal. Like we need to find a different
Right.
age class. And it's just kind of cool to see it start from one point and go to the other.
Natural maturity of a hunter. I mean, Jim and I talk about that a bunch. You mature at you remember when Jim started hunting mule deer. I mean, he's from Pennsylvania and hunting mule deer, and we would give him crap all the time because the Forky Slayers. But he was brand new to mule deer hunting, and that was he just wanted to shoot a mule deer.
Yeah.
And you mature as you, and now Jim won't pull the trigger on a mule deer now unless it's a tank.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's appropriate, right? Because I think that's where you grow as a hunter based on your life. Like as your life grows, your hunting experience grows to where, you know, and the whole camera thing, man. It's kind of I have so many animals that I've killed that I don't have a single picture of. I've never even took a picture of them. Right? I'm a little older than Cole, so I mean, when I was in high school, it was the Nokia brick phone with the little Tetris on it. Didn't even have a camera. So I mean, when we're shooting deer and stuff, then there's man, some of my better animals I don't have a single picture of.
Yeah.
Um, and not to say that that was better. I don't think that was better. I don't because I wish I had pictures of those hunts. I wish I had pictures of those experiences, just like I'm sure Cole and his dad and his grandpa and his uncle do. Like, pictures of them at camp together at the wall tents. With the fire, the out hiking. I know that you guys would love to have
Oh
pictures of
yeah.
that,
Like
but we just never. You didn't.
no, not at all. I mean, like I can think of like a couple pictures of like hunting camp when I was a kid. Like ones I think like my grandpa got me a 243 when I turned like 9. So there's a picture of me with my grandpa with that. And like the next picture is maybe me at 14 years old with like a deer I'd shot that year.
Yeah.
Like it was super
Yeah.
minimal. Like we never took trophy pictures or anything. So it's just like you don't really have anything to look back on unless you still have the deer heads.
No.
And then a lot of the times, to
No.
be honest, like with us, like we had a bunch of labs growing up and stuff. So I mean, half of them would turn into chew toys, get eaten up. So like it's kind of not saying that you like lose the memory, but like you don't have anything to like look at and actually like remember it. Like, oh, I remember when this happened. Like I completely forgot this picture was taken or something, you know? I think you kind of forget
Yeah.
about different like snippets of hunts whenever it's not documented.
Right.
Do you think that's almost like part of the nostalgia of it though? Is that
Yeah.
there aren't any pictures? Like they're nothing but memories, which I think makes them cool. Not that it's better with or without cameras, but
Well, there's a lot of pictures you say from the 30s and 40s, and I mean there's pictures all the way back to when the cameras were invented, right? Like hunting out in Arkansas I went to Bill Byers Hunters Club, and Kaysen, he's got pictures of his mom back, way back, like black and whites, and of when they first started hunting the farm, and it's waterfowl. It's probably a little easier to tote a camera back in the day, back then, but it is really cool. And that's what I mean is the capability was there. So to me, it doesn't add any more nostalgia to it. I mean, you guys might disagree, but to me, it was like, man, why didn't we? Right. And it justifies the use of it even more now.
Yeah.
Because cameras have existed my entire lifetime. I just didn't have one on my cell phone.
Well, and
Right.
I think
But I
like
could have gotten.
when I look at it now, like compared to like how I hunt nowadays to like growing up, like we just hunted for totally different reasons. Like I hunt it because like I love it. And then growing up, it was more so like, no, we need to kill this deer so we can eat it all year. And like
Yeah.
I think that was just a very old school way of like, like you kind of grow up with like not as much money or, it's just what their grandpa
Right.
did and then my grandpa did and then my dad did. It
Yeah.
was just very much, we're going to shoot this deer and eat it all year. And now it's like, well, there's a lot more to it. I love doing this. Let's document it. But I'm
Yeah.
still going to eat the deer all year. But
Right.
I want to like actually like have pictures of the hunt. I like there's just a lot more to it. I think it's kind of changed as far as like taking videos of animals with digiscoping or a camera or anything. I think everybody wants to document stuff more like nowadays than what it ever used to be. Because if you pull the camera out now in front of my grandpa or something, he'd be like, oh, why are you taking pictures on the hunt? Like I'm just here to shoot something, you know?
But then you show them the pictures, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
cool.
I'm sure
That's
they'd
really
be like, oh,
cool.
I'd love to put this in my house
Yeah.
or something, like grandma, I'd
Yeah.
love to see this, or it's kind of cool.
So to go to your point, Trent, I don't think it adds any more nostalgia to not have a camera or have things that are locked in memories. To me, it's like, man, why didn't I do this sooner? Why
yeah,
didn't I
that's fair.
bust out the camera sooner? It's almost I have some great deer and elk that I don't have a single picture. I don't have a single picture of. And it's like, man, that's
I
that's
wish I
crappy.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just live and learn and grow and move as it is. But yeah, Cole, I mean, that's deer camp shapes a lot of things.
Yeah.
Shapes a lot of mindsets and thoughts and family stuff. And
Yeah, no, it was cool. And I think like so like that's how I grew up. Like just like introduced to hunting. I started doing that with them when I was like 6 and 7 years old. So I did that, gosh, all the way probably till I was like 15. Then I maybe like started changing how I apply it for hunts and started doing some different things. That's kind of ultimately when I met Ryan. And then the biggest part was I started bow hunting. And none of my family had ever bow hunted. I don't think they've ever killed anything with a bow. So like once I started doing that, I just started applying differently and just looking at hunts way differently than they did. So we kind of like split ways. And since then, we really haven't hunted a whole lot together. So it's just kind of
I was gonna ask you, was there any like friction in the family, or not like friction in the family, but was there any like pushback whenever you were like, Dad, I'm not shooting that animal? Like,
no, because honestly, I don't think I and this sounds bad, but I think I like completely quit almost hunting with my dad, and all of them because I was bow hunting. Like my dad came with me, but he never had a tag, so it was like always solely my hunt. And I think he really loved the change of it. Like he loved trying to like learn how to elk hunt because, like I said, none of them had killed bulls. I don't think my dad killed a bull elk until like 3 years ago. Um,
yeah,
so it was just kind of they never knew how to call elk. Like we never had, like harvested elk in like the middle of September. So hunting and all that was like totally like foreign to him. I think he really enjoyed getting into that. And he's always loved shed hunting and just kind of like walking a ton. So it kind of like really fit in with like what he liked to do. But as far as like with my grandpa and like my uncle, like we don't really hunt together at all anymore. I'd love to probably like get on a hunt with them and stuff, but like it's kind of just tough with like two different like hunting styles. And then also like my grandpa's getting older, so he's like way more limited to what he can do. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, there was never like really any friction, I wouldn't say. Like I'll the only thing is my dad's probably way more like, oh, just shoot that bull or something. I'm like, Daddy's like 260. Like, no, I'm not gonna do it. It's a deke. Like, or he'd still be like back in their mindset of like, oh, it's an elk. Like, let's just shoot it and eat it.
Yeah, what's funny though is I mean I talk to Cole's dad a lot too, and I've watched him grow as a hunter as we've grown as hunters. I've watched him pay attention to us and adopt things that we do himself. Um, it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to watch the older guys like start to pay attention and be like, okay, that works.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, maybe I won't shoot that bull. Maybe that bull's not as big as I thought,
Oh, for sure. Well, and like
So,
I think we've just hunted together enough that like it's made it. I think he picks up a lot of what like guess like I kind of learned from you guys, and like whenever we started hunting together more, because probably the person I've hunted sheep with the most is probably my dad. Because like the first probably
mhm.
like 4 or 5 years of hunting over the counter was just me and him like toting around hunting sheep. And like the first time he ever took me sheep hunting, actually, this was one of my first hunting experiences. I was like 6, and we walked like 17 miles aimlessly through the cliffs, no binoculars, and like anyone that's familiar with over the counter, like we walked from the bottom of the cliffs all the way to West Side Road and got picked up, and it was just like horrible. I don't even know why he took me up there. But we like we kind of learned how to sheep hunt like by hunting wrong the whole time, and it just kind of like made us
Yeah.
better hunters like both at the same time. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we ended up actually both. It's kind of ironic. We've both shot like our 2 best sheep together, like a few summers ago. So that was pretty cool. Like that was a fun experience to have together. So it's just kind of cool, like watch it all grow.
Yeah, this is something me and Ryan talked about with my dad. Is I've been trying to get him into the hunting world, and it's funny how like old guys get really set in their ways about certain things, and that's totally acceptable. Like they've lived a lot of life, they're allowed to have strong opinions, and um, like something that Ryan's talked about is like, like I want like shooting does is important, this, that, and the other. I was talking to my dad this year after we've struck out a few times, and there was a couple does out there. I was like, dude, let's just shoot a doe. Like we can teach you how to like field dress it, like what were to happen if you were to come down here and shoot something by yourself. Like you can kind of learn that process, what it looks like. And he was like, no,
Yeah.
the first thing I'm shooting is a toad.
Yeah, no, like it's kind of
I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
You're 60 years old. I can't really argue with you on that. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I was giving him a hard time too, because I was like, man, I'd have shot that doe before she left. And he's like, oh, I'm not shooting no doe. I'm like, it's the last week of the season, brother. She takes off running, I'm dumping her. And he's like, I don't want no woman.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
kind of funny.
there's
like,
been
it was frowned
multiple
upon.
shooters in front of him. And he
Yeah.
like, we just couldn't get him to figure it out. That poor guy. Like, it's like, I
Yeah.
can't see it in the scope. I'm like, it's on 28 power, dude. Back it up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, it's your day.
Oh,
but
no,
that made
it's
me think
good.
about hunting with my dad as well. It's
No, it's
we've been
fun.
doing it the first time this year, and it's been an experience to say the
Yeah.
least.
Cole, let's talk about as you progress through high school and whatnot. Like what is the more to Cole in adult life? Just like what happens at work that shifts the way you think?
Yeah.
What do you take from your professional life into hunting, or maybe not even on the topic of hunting at all, but what is that side of you, your decision makings, your thoughts, your business ideas as we grow in this?
Yeah. I honestly could probably like give it credit to like sports. Like I think like as far as work goes, is like, growing anything in like my career or the business or just like hunting in general, like when I'm hiking up the mountain, like I was just super like competitive. So like I always and even like just competitive with myself, not even with other people. Just always trying to like push myself to be better. If I'm getting tired, I'm just gonna like keep going. But it's kind of like let me, I guess, like push myself into like a workplace where I have a lot of free time where I actually can guide hunts. So I have like a pretty flexible schedule, just like with all that. And then like, now I got kids. So it's just kind of like a lot more time needed at home. But yeah, it was just kind of like, I guess, kind of being aggressive so much with work. Like to just kind of make the lifestyle like fit. Cause typically, most people that work oil and gas, it's just like nonstop, go, go, go. You have no free time. And I've kind of like worked myself into like a sweet job position of where I can take off and guide hunts, or I can spend a week at home with the kids when they're sick, or, just kind of have a lot more free time with that.
Yeah, what's the oil field like? What goes on out there? Because Trent and I don't know nothing about the oil field.
Yeah, I mean, so I work on the production side of things. So, like, once a well's drilled and completed, it's like when they drill them, like everybody kind of knows like what drilling is. Then when they complete them, they'll come in and frack them typically. Then they'll flow them for like 2 3 months with flow back like contract people, and then they turn them over to production, and then that's when I have them. And I'll pretty much have them till the whole life of the well before they P&A it, which is plug and abandoned. So like I'm pretty much just running around keeping wells online.
Some old P&A,
Yeah, some
huh?
old
We
P&A.
we have different terms.
But yeah, no, just keeping wells online. It's honestly a pretty laid back job. It's nice. But yeah, I mean, the oil and gas stuff is definitely not like land, man. People don't die every day. It's definitely a dangerous line of work, but as long as
Which character on Landman are you?
none of them, they don't have operators in any of the episodes. It's kind of it's a very weird,
Really?
small company.
So you kind of like the quality and control guy once a well is stood up.
Yeah, pretty much just maintaining
That's a good way to
production,
put it.
keeping production online, like making sure you have no like emission events, like just trying to keep everything as clean as you can. You don't want any spills, anything like that. So I just like run around, check everything every day. And if like we do have big issues, and I'll like either report them or I'll just fix them myself. It just kind of depends like on the severity of them.
Does that require you to drive quite a
Drives
bit
a ton
around that part of the
I
state?
probably drive like 200 plus miles a day. So it's pretty busy just driving around checking each well. It is kind of cool though, because I do get to see like a bunch of wildlife. I get to see a bunch of antelope, deer, occasionally
That's what I
some
was gonna ask
sheep,
you is
but not too much.
how many times have you been like going to check a well and then like you end up dropping a pin on Onyx because you're like, oh, I need to come back here.
Oh yeah, quite a bit. And I'll like take my spotting scope with me, and I'm like, oh, it's a good buck. Let me look at him. Yeah, it's sweet. I mean, that's kind of like what everybody jokes about. Like, so like my job position's like a lease operator. So like most operators know where all the big deer are. Like if you live or work in the area where like the big bucks live, like you drive by it every morning at sun up and you're like, oh yeah, there's that big buck. He's pushing does or whatever. So like
Yeah.
when it comes to hunting season, it's kind of nice. Like I don't have the best like route, I should say, for our company as far as big deer, but it doesn't bother me just so I can, it probably is better for work. So that way I can just focus at work while I'm at work and not think about hunting the whole time.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, if I was in any other place that was like super populated with deer, I'd probably get in trouble just because I'd be paying way too much more attention to deer than versus work.
Like, how's that well looking today, Cole? It's like, I don't know, but I got a couple booners out here.
Well,
They're
and
looking
the
pretty
funny
good.
thing is, like most people that work oil and gas like hunting. So like they'll even like I'll have engineers that live in Midland call me and be like, "Oh, how's the deer looking out there this year?" And you're like, not so hot, dude." Or like it's really good, It's like, why are you calling about this?
Yeah.
Like you should be calling about like work. But yeah, it's kind of nice having like the flexible schedule, like still getting to get the guide a bunch of hunts. And just like being able to take all the time off to do that. Like it's kind of a perfect little balance right now.
You have the luxury of being able to take time off to like go and do a bunch of hunting in the outdoors, obviously. So like for me, it's I have to pick and choose when I'm gonna get to go outdoors pretty specifically, honestly.
Right.
And it makes it to where like I want your perspective on this because for me, I have to be very particular about it, right? So it makes me appreciate those times more. But with someone like you, where you do have something more flexible, do you feel like you find yourself in you're almost like you ever found yourself where you're not really appreciating those times as much,
Yeah, I think
Or
so.
is it something that still you're so passionate about it that you're like, it doesn't matter. Like I'm living the best life right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Does that make
it's
sense?
definitely like tough to do. So like, this week coming up, like we'll do like an ibex hunt and stuff, and like I'm super pumped and excited about it. But then like the flip side, let's say it's like not a draw tag and it's like over the counter sheep, it's really hard to get excited about because I don't know if I'm gonna go that day or like, like let's say I have 6 days off of work. I don't know if I'm gonna go like the first day or the last day or even at all, especially now since having kids. So sometimes
Yeah.
just like the spur of the moment where I think you do take it for granted where you're like, oh, I'm just off of work. Let me go look for sheep today. Where someone else might be like, oh, I've been waiting like 2 months for this one single day to go sheep hunting. And like they,
Yep.
I guess, appreciate it way more where it's like, oh, it's my backyard. Let me go a couple hours. I'm going to go hunt sheep for the day.
I think we miss it a lot more now than we used to be that way. We used to hunt sheep all the time. You know,
Yeah.
nothing. We'd go out after work and hunt sheep. Go on us every Saturday, Sunday morning. We were looking glassing sheep. Just it was part of the day. You just get up, go glass sheep. Don't find them, do whatever. Don't find the rams you want. I mean, we were always doing, and I think we definitely took it for granted.
Yeah.
I would say now I would look forward to probably going to hunt sheep.
Yeah. And I would say even,
And we never did.
There was like
we talked about it the other day.
yeah. Well, and like I was going to say, there was a portion of it where we probably got burnt out on it, where we were like, oh, we're hunting sheep too
Mhm.
much. Like, I mean, it was the number one hunted thing really for us. Like, if it wasn't for us having
Right.
tags, it was like friends having tags or like my dad or somebody. So we just hunted
Between-
sheep so much that like now
Yeah.
we got burnt, and now we don't do it often. We're like, dang, like we kind of miss having that like
We
option.
were just texting the other day about like, oh man, we should go shoot some sheep. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, between Cole and I mean, what would you say? How many sheep between the two of us? How many odd dad
Oh man.
over the counter do you think we have been a part of killing and killing ourselves? I
I don't know.
astronomical number since 2014.
Yeah. What like ever?
I mean, you're
since
talking
it's
almost
open.
10 years, a solid 10 years of over the counter sheep.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been at least 20 just between us. Whatever. However many.
The two of us right here,
Yeah.
at least 20.
Plus
if
Jim.
not probably
I
close to
injured one
24.
I-
really well down in Texas last year, so like 20.5.
Yeah.
I hurt that sheep real bad.
Yeah. I don't.
No, yeah, I would say between Cole and I alone, it's over 20.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
So-
think we're even probably closer to like 15 a piece. What? I don't know
Mhm.
what it is. Maybe like 12. I'm not sure exactly how many it is.
It's close. I've got two Texas sheep. Cole doesn't have any. You don't have any Texas sheep,
no, I
right?
don't.
Oh, yeah. So I've got two in Texas in addition to all the New Mexico ones, but we definitely hit a spot of being burnt out. I mean,
Yeah.
to the point where people were texting me weekly, Cole too. Let's go. Can you take me sheep hunting? Can you help me go sheep hunting? And it got to the point where I was like, man, I wasn't always fond of sheep anyway. Like I still don't like them. I love shooting them. I love hunting them, but I don't like them. And that's a whole nother podcast topic of invasive species and their impact on deer and the habitat of deer. The clash of native bighorns and aoudad existing in the same mountains and the same sources of food and water. We're gonna do a podcast on that for sure.
Yeah.
So there's some deep thoughts for me on them, but as far as hunting them, we loved hunting them. It's something to hunt.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think
That's like
we-
really
we-
where you both like genuinely cut your teeth the most in though, and like feel like that's like the biggest foundation you guys have was chasing sheep.
I think that's what like truly built me.
Cole for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I think Ryan's always loved deer. Like
Yeah, I've killed a ton of deer. I
Yeah.
mean, way more deer than any other animal. I've shot tons of deer, and that's not to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm awesome. I've shot a
Shells
bunch
as well?
of deer, huh?
Are you talking muleys specifically?
Man,
Or-
I will tell you this: it shocks a lot of people, and a lot of people don't even know. And it's funny. I've had comments made towards me about whitetail, but whitetail deer is the one animal that I have killed more than any other thing. And I'm talking to the tune of Cole. I don't want to just throw an arbitrary number out. I don't know the exact number in my head, but I know that I'm since 2000. We'll say I killed a couple whitetail when I was a kid. Like it was the first deer I killed. Um, but I don't want to say the 100 number, but I think it's close.
He was a
Of
Florida
of,
man.
of
Yeah.
what? Yeah,
No, the
man.
Florida season. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
So
You
you're
know, I lived in Florida for a while, and you could kill a lot of deer in Florida, and there is a lot of deer in Florida. So I know that I've killed. My count is 56 whitetail with a bow. Not all bucks, of course.
that is incredible.
Yeah, I've put the heart into some whitetail, but
With a bow.
it's a target of opportunity, and it's a lot of does, right? And to me, like in Florida, it was well, we can kill a lot of does. There's not a lot of big bucks here. I don't really care if I kill any of the bucks because they're not that big, right? You
Yeah.
know, with the like I think on the last episode I talked about Dan finding uh having that buck that was, in the 160s in the Florida Panhandle and having sheds off of it, and that being a cool like mystique thing that we always got excited and talked about. And when he found the sheds, immediately texted me like, I got him. Like, just there is some cool bucks, but that is not the
standard.
norm. So
Yeah.
to me, I looked at it as like, I'm from New Mexico, right? Born and raised in New Mexico. You get to shoot one deer a year. That's it. Western states, one deer a year. No does, no shooting does, just one buck and go. And so I took that as an opportunity of I am not that great of a bow hunter because I'm coming from out west. I liked rifle. As a kid, you're using rifle, right? Like, we're going to deer camp, like Cole and this goes back to the not having a camera and being upset about that. In probably 2003, we went on a deer hunt. It was me, my little brother, my dad, some other friends of ours, and Mario and his dad were there. So I went deer hunting with Mario when I was a kid, and Mario was probably Levi's age. Mario couldn't have been over 13 years old, 14 years old,
No way.
if that. And it's like, man, that would be really cool because now Mario guides for us, and he's a friend of ours. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, that would be really cool to have pictures of me and Mario when we were little kids deer hunting together. But we don't. So yeah, to me, it was like, I'm in Florida. I am going to take advantage of just slinging arrows through does, man. As many does as I can put an arrow through, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so that was like that natural progression of, and I'm not burnt out on deer, but back to Cole, like we really got burnt out on sheep. And you say like, there are animals that shaped you as a hunter. And I would say sheep is that animal that definitely shaped Cole as a hunter. Deer is that animal that's definitely shaped me as a hunter.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna say it. I think the species that shapes you as a hunter also shapes decisions in your life. Because
Are you saying I'm nomadic?
Cole he doesn't have the slow, methodical patience that deer has built in me. Would you agree,
Oh,
Cole?
I'd agree 100%. I'm like a bull
Yeah.
elk in September or a sheep. I just run around and I'm just getting after it. Really, there's not much like thought process on stuff. It's like, let's go kill it and let's go kill it now. Like and sometimes I guess I've started to slow down because it has like bit me in the ass a few times where it's like I rush things, we take a shot before we should, or we get way too close, or you just don't play things out like as slowly as you
Right.
should. And I think sometimes it does come back and definitely like bites you in the butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's definitely a fair thing to say.
Yeah. I mean, even in business, man,
Yeah.
I find myself really just slowing down and thinking deep, methodical processes like I would for deer hunting.
Yeah. No, and I'm definitely like, even in business, I'm probably the other way around where it's like, let's just get this done. Let's get it done now.
Let's just
And
do it.
sometimes
Like,
it's
wait
probably
a
not
minute, brother.
always the best thought process, but yeah, it's just very much like, let's go right now. Like, let's climb that hill, Yeah, that's definitely a fair statement to make.
So yeah, I don't know if anybody's ever thought about that, about the animal that grew you as a hunter also shapes you as a human being and your thought processes in normal life.
Yeah, that that's a really good one. I mean, because I think it's really spot on for me. I'm not gonna say I'm exactly like a sheep, much less a Barbary, but yeah, there's a lot of like traits there that kind of match up. Makes sense. But yeah, like it kind of the cool.
Trent, what shaped you? Squirrel hunting?
Yeah, dude, what I was just thinking about is that how do you take that in the sense of like I am very much so like Cole, like let's just go and figure it out. Like I'm a big proponent of like go before you're ready kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of in the nature of what I do for a living. So there's part of that, but um,
Right.
I think
Which
that's
that's not lost on me either. I'm definitely part of that. But
yeah, like I have a very much so like let's lean forward and go mentality. And like if you get roughed up on the way, then you're just gonna figure it out. Like take your punches and take your licks
right.
and figure it out. But the animal that is absolutely I've learned the most about and have been shaped the most by would be whitetail. Like I'm an Oklahoma guy, like that is what we eat, sleep, and breathe and like live for. Is like waiting for October to hit, and then October hits, and then it's like, all right, well, we just left Colorado for elk hunting, but like now it's like now we're at the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, it's go time.
It's like all the hard work because like you just and like what we were talking about earlier is like it's a year long job and like it's finally here. I remember this last year waiting for September and August. I was like, dude, I cannot wait for October to get here. And sure enough, first day of the season it was 110 degrees and I was in a box blind. And it was probably 170 in there. I'm just leaking like more than anything. And then just sitting there waiting, being patient, being quiet. It's so counterintuitive. So I think it helps. I agree with your statement of it shapes you as who you are as a person, but I think it could also can like almost like cross paths with you in a way that it changes how you act in other facets of your life because you learn and adapt to be this way in hunting. Does that make
Right.
sense? Like I
Yeah,
have to slow
absolutely.
down to hunt deer,
Yeah.
and slowing down is not really a thing that I'm good at. I'm probably have undiagnosed ADHD and I'm very go mindset oriented. But from a deer hunting perspective, it is do all the work and be prepared and then wait for an opportunity because you might only get one. So like be prepared for your opportunity, which is exactly the opposite of what I just explained how I my mentality is as a human of go if you're not ready. That's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah, man, that's funny because it's exactly that deer makes you like, this is my one shot, right? Like when
Yeah.
this big whitetail comes past the tree, this is I have one opportunity to get it right. Whereas like with colonized sheep hunting, man, you get a lot of opportunities on Aoudad,
Yeah.
a lot. So it causes you to be less strategic, right? Because you're like, oh, if it doesn't work out, we'll just go to the next canyon.
Yeah.
There's no, if it doesn't work out on a whitetail, we'll just go to the next tree.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
Yeah, man. The
Yeah,
biggest
no.
biggest deer I would have ever killed in my life was last year, and I hit it up in no man's land, high shoulder.
Yeah.
Me and old Jonathan looked for it for about 3 days, never found it, and I was devastated. And I went back about 2 weeks later, and I hunted that same stand probably 10 or 15 more times, never saw it again. I was like, man, I learned a
Mhm.
hard lesson today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all preparation for one moment, and it comes down to like fraction of a second, and you screwed up, it's gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got Cole. Cole the sheep hunter, the oil field, the deer camp guy. Like,
Guess we could
know, uh,
like jump in, I guess, to like when I started guiding. Um gosh, what year was that? 2018, I think. 2018 or
what year
2019.
did I make you go get your when did I make you go get your guide license? What year was
I
that?
think it was 2018, but my first full season was 2019. Oh man.
Were you
And
born in 2000?
no, I was born in 99.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Close though.
I thought you were about to say you were in the 90s, baby, and I was gonna be real upset.
I barely hit the 90s by like a month and a half, all right. So I can't claim it too much. But man, the first ever hunt I guided, I caught a bunch of shit from Ryan because he tells me I left him hanging on a muzzleloader deer hunt, and I went to guide archery ibex for like a week and a half, and that was fun.
Cole was broke and he needed money, but I told him I would pay him exactly the same amount of money. Cause I have not killed a 200-inch deer, but that hunt I had one found, and I needed help, and it was a muzzleloader, and I did not have an Arrowhead muzzleloader at that time.
Shameless plug.
That deer is the reason that I bought an Arrowhead muzzleloader, because I had a Night Ultralight, and it was a good muzzleloader at the time, a couple $100 muzzleloader. But when you watch a 200+ inch deer walk out of your life at less than 300 yards because you can't get the shot. Um, yeah.
That one keeps you up at night, doesn't it?
And Cole was there. He was helping me. He was there on the first
I
couple
yeah, I
days,
was
and then
there
I
for
turned
day
up this
one.
buck, and I was like, bro, I like, sending him, pictures of where we were and what I was doing, and I'm like, I need somebody to walk me in, man, because I can't like, I'm not gonna say where it was. It was super steep hillside, really thick, scrub brush and stuff, and I was close. I mean, I had laid down on him a couple times, laid down on into the muzzleloader to get a shot at him a couple times, and just each time I couldn't. And then I got in there, and another buck, a smaller buck, kind of got him uncomfortable. Got real close to him and got him uncomfortable, and he stood. He just got up and took just not running, but walked down through another little cut, through another uh, edge of brush, and then kind of up around the cliff face and over the saddle. And when you're sitting there with a muzzleloader that costs a couple $100, that 300 yards is a poke with that one, you start,
Yeah.
And I always give Cole a hard time. It's not his fault. If I was better, I would have killed it. But
Yeah.
A homie in the glass telling you, you're good. There's no other deer around you, or there is deer around you, or he looks like he's gonna do this. It's a game changer sometimes. So I don't. He needed money though, man. He needed the money.
Yeah.
Even though I would have paid him the same.
He didn't offer to pay me till after the fact. He's like, I would have paid you to stay. But yeah, I got an ibex hunt. It's kind of like what kicked it off, and then I want to say maybe guided like an elk hunt right after that. No, I think I helped a couple like guys on like some over the counter Barbary hunts, like from maybe Pennsylvania or so. I can't even really remember. I was just kind of like helping some different outfitters at the time. And then,
Dude, what was that first time guiding like? Can you walk me through that?
oh man,
Like,
to be
did you
honest,
feel like an insane amount of pressure?
yeah, well, I got thrown in ibex hunting for one. It was an archery hunt, so it's like what some people call the hardest like archery hunt in the lower 48. And honestly, I was guiding a species that I was not familiar with. Like I'd never hunted ibex before until that day. And like I'm running up the mountain with a client, guiding them. I mean, I did pretty good, I thought. Like we got on ibex. The guy actually missed one at like 60 yards, like day 1 or 2 of the archery hunt. We never did get another shot at a Billy. But yeah, it was definitely kind of like a surreal moment, I guess, because like I knew probably when I was like 14, 15, like I really wanted to be a hunting guide. So it was kind of like cool to be like, wow, this is actually happening. Like I'm getting paid for this. Like this is really cool. So it was like
Yeah.
super like cool as a first time deal, but like looking back on it, like I was really just kind of one of those kids like didn't know what they were doing going out guiding, for the first time. But like someone had to take that chance on me, and like start that, But it was cool. It was definitely. I wouldn't say I was like too pressured, just because like I loved hunting and like I was so used to sheep hunting, so like hunting the Floridas and everything was like no different to me. Like I was so used to the terrain, it was just a different animal. And
Yeah.
oddly enough, like a lot of those exotics, like whether it be goats or sheep, they kind of have like the same characteristics. So it really wasn't too bad. Like it was super easy to jump into.
And then how that transfer back into Blackhorn moving forward,
Yeah, I mean I don't know. It's like the first hunt, our first time guiding a hunt, like I guess was like knowing like I really love doing it. And like knew I'd eventually want to be an outfitter. And it just kind of started that conversation with me and Ryan where it was like year after year, like this is really what I want to do. Ryan would like laugh at me because I was always like, I just want to guide and shed hunt and like do these different things like in the off season. And he'd kind of like poke fun at it. But then eventually like we both got or I got really serious about it, and he was like, hey, like we should really probably just partner up like with this. And we kind of like both like brought something to the table on both ends. So yeah,
Yeah.
and we just eventually got real serious about it. And then I want to say whenever he got back from that deployment, like we jumped into it and started it. But
Yeah. I knew it would be, not that it would be more successful with the two of us, but it was a lot to take on and be successful
Well-
as a single individual. And it was,
and like a little backstory of it, like I was like honestly, from most instances, like I had no business probably like trying to run a business when I was 21 years
Yeah.
old. Like I wasn't probably like mature enough. I wouldn't have like it just business wise, it probably would not it wouldn't be what it is without like both of us, truthfully. There's no way I think that like I could have just walked into being an outfitter and been successful. Like I think like the partnership of it like really is what built it all.
Yeah, for sure. I might kind of follow a question, I guess, to kind of bring the whole episode to a wrap here is, we talked about how you do have a job that affords you lots of free time to go off and hunt. Sometimes you have to even battle the internal struggle of like taking that time for granted. I get to go outdoors, cut your teeth as a sheep hunter, and now you've adopted all of sheep qualities, and you're very just like, let's just run up that hill and see where it takes us kind of thing.
Yeah.
But even, with all those things of you have lots of opportunities to go hunt, you've got the energy to go and do it and go and climb up that hill constantly. Like, what does that like more peace really mean to you?
I think especially like now, like having kids, like I really look forward to like hopefully like passing it on to like them and just kind of seeing like I guess what the next generation does with some of it. Like that's like the biggest, probably like more just because like then you're like actually passing along something that's like I think you can like teach your kids and like I don't know, just like show people. And it's actually really cool because like you'll guide some clients that never have hunted out west. Like they've always just hunted like, tree stands for whitetail and stuff. And they're like, I'm coming on these hunts so like I can learn how to hunt elk. Maybe one day I can teach my kids. So it's kind of like really cool
Yeah.
to see it go. You're not just affecting like your immediate family, like it's clients' family or like, their friends or whoever. Like I guess you're kind of like introducing something to like everybody at that point. It's just kind of cool. Just to know that it's not just ending with, hey, this is the guy I'm guiding. Like, no, he's going to go home and like, wow, I need to take my kids elk hunting one day, whether it's like with myself or guided or whoever. It's just kind of like really cool to know that like you kind of instill that into them and they really enjoy it that much that they want to take it home and show it to other people.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's awesome, especially even from like a guide perspective, even though someone who does it constantly, like even for you and like what your values are and what's important to you is it's so much more than just 5 to 7 days in a wall tent with some guy you just met,
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's like really, really important.
Yeah, like it's awesome to like spend 5 to 7 days with someone and like it's just always a blast, but it's like cool just to know like that a lot of these people like do take it back home with them, and like they really enjoy it and like show their kids or it's just kind of I don't know, it's one of those things you like give somebody like a core memory and I think it like really sticks with them and they kind of pass it on to other people because I think us as hunters at times like we take for granted like all the cool things we get to see, whether it just be like out in the mountains or hunting or just like the cool like scenarios you get to like put yourself in. Like not everybody else gets to see them, so I think it's cool that like other people will introduce it maybe to someone else who's never has hunted before. It's just kind of like a cool like revolving circle, I think.
Yes, sir. Well, Cole, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up.
Cool.
It's not a whole lot to talk about in your short life.
I know. I need to get some more years on
That's
me.
getting cut. No, dude, that's awesome. I learned a lot about you. I know Ryan knew all those things, but I thoroughly enjoyed it because that's part of Cole that I didn't see before.
Yeah.
I think it's also things that other people will appreciate too.
It's like the old
Right.
campfire stories. Like you could go on and on and on, but it's kind of cool. You can actually like sit down on a podcast and like talk about some stuff, like not everybody knows about like me sheep hunting and passing out, like it's not, I guess it's kind of like little stuff like even I overlook.
He thinks I make fun of him publicly to everybody, and I don't because nobody knows that.
Yeah, he'd be like, Primo
Dude,
didn't
it's
take no
it's
food.
always the animal you were the least prepared to kill is the one that gives you the opportunity.
I was like that sheep that day. I just ran up that hill and was like, I'm going to kill this damn thing. And then, you know what? Joke's on me.
I think that is a wrap. Episode 2, huh?
Yeah, that's an old
Who
wrap.
Cole is.
Episode
Cool.
3. We going with me or we going with Ryan? That's the next question.
We'll ponder that. We'll see
right.
how much. We'll see.
All right, we'll give it a ponder.
Because we've got a lot to unpack. I've probably got the most.
Yeah, you got demons, dude.
Yeah.
Got skeletons in there. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Episode 2.
Sweet.
And
Later.
that's a wrap.